Somebody didn't set up the other
It's
channel
real
like
life.
she was supposed to
Real life people.
because somebody didn't set things up and she's like, oh, Envy, we should stream on this channel and has none of it set up. Hmm.
I just need to set up
It's
a
okay,
ti-
I'll talk you through setting that up too because oh my god, you're so bad at
I'm
OBS. It's like
hopeless. I'm a
crazy.
woman.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know technology.
Yeah, Miss fucking Komsky over here doesn't fucking know technology.
Okay, well, to be fair, I flunked out a few times, and if you think if you're trying to think about what it does it mean, then well, it means I haven't done much of it, Kamsky. But
Wait, can I hear myself?
hmm,
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. Okay, we're all good. We'll wait for people to be joined into it.
yeah, I really
We'll wait for
like
people to.
watching Brooks. You know,
No, you don't like fucking watching me. Okay, I see how it is.
but I'm not watching. Wait, I need to stream to you. Wait, oh
Yeah,
no, never
that'd
mind.
be a good
Okay.
idea.
I was thinking, oh, if I stream to you, then everyone will be listening it twice, but no, only you will be hearing it. Uh,
That's true. That is how that works.
look at this bald head. Look at this bald head.
Yeah, this is what we call it crawled out of the ocean to look at a bald man.
I mean, like it. eh, I think it fits him well. I think it really does.
Yeah.
Like the combo beard, the goatee, bald
The
head
way
is
the way it
unbeatable.
reflects the light, the way it
Yeah,
reflects the light,
yeah.
the way you can tell he hasn't taken any estrogen.
Well, yeah. Well, perhaps he shines it up. Like sometimes people aren't necessarily completely bald, but they shave it up because it's better than for them to them to than to portray male pattern baldness.
I'm gonna say so many horrible things. Well, okay, that's a lie. I'm not gonna. Okay, when I say I'm gonna say so many horrible things, what I actually mean is, um, this guy's I'm pretty sure a conservative. I'm not really sure, but he seems conservative. I got really mad watching this because of just like how wrong he gets. Okay, everyone gets why is critique run out of steam wrong. The first time I ran into why is critique run out of steam, it wasn't on my own. It's because someone was like, "Oh yeah, Latour totally reversed course."
Hmm.
Um, and, and so every time I've dealt with why has critique run out of steam to another person, they've always gotten it wrong, and I don't. It's amazing, actually. It's amazing how you can get such a simple text so wrong. Like it isn't a hard text to understand. It's very simple text. Like you just, it's like Latour writes easy. It's very smooth. The arguments are actually very contained, like generally. Um, so yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It,
Are people here? Type in chat. Type in chat, people. Not you, Estelle. Don't you type in chat. You're a fake person.
yeah.
Take that as you will.
I am glad to not to be recognized and as not a person. You know.
That's
Uh,
true. Right, maybe I should make sure that I can actually hear the stream on the end. Wait, I should actually make sure that. Okay, I have the volume up. Okay, maybe let's not have it at 200%. Maybe let's like turn it down.
Hmm.
Okay. People, no one wants to. No one wants to talk. No one wants to type in chat. I see how it is.
We're getting a bunch of um lurkers. Well, it's alright.
Yeah. Yeah.
Th-
All right. You can start it.
Alright, let's see what this
Hold on. Hold on.
this
Wait.
bald egg.
Point of order. Point of order. You all
Mhm.
know me. I'm Envy. You know me. But you don't know the other voice. The
Oh,
other
okay.
voice in your head, and that's Estelle. Um. So yeah. There we
Mhm.
go. That's all.
Yeah, I have no relation to her really. I'm just she just invited me here and I have no clue what am I doing?
Yeah.
Hmm. Well,
Hey,
especially in relation to OPS. All right, let's watch this.
That's so
Cheers.
fucking true.
hey, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I've been thinking about this final lecture of our course. I really anticipated having a very interesting discussion on this text all semester long, and the fact that you're not really here with me to discuss it makes it somewhat anticlimactic for me. I thought that this would make a really nice culminating conversation for our course, and COVID has dashed that to a certain extent. But I hope you'll watch and if for no other reason than to kind of put a cap on the things that we've discussed over the course of the semester. So our final text
Hmm.
here
Wait,
is
is
a
he a
text.
teacher?
Pause. I was actually just gonna say. Sorry. I'm muting myself so I don't cause any background noise in case I decide to be upset and pissy and start moving around. Um, because I'm not reading anything, so I don't have any reason to stay in one place. I'm pretty sure he's a professor of like rhetoric.
Hmm. Oh.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
because he talks about rhetoric a lot. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Oh, what is this? What is this video? I'm so upset that you asked. It's called Bruno Latour and the End of Deconstructivism Critique or something like that, or
Deconstructive.
Deconstruction
The
Deconstruct.
brackets constructive critique.
And it's a video that I don't like. Um, like it's fine at some points, but it misunderstands Latour in some really weird ways because I'm pretty sure he's a conservative, and so he's not going to really understand it. Because Latour wasn't a conservative.
Hmm. Yeah, and he puts con in brackets because he thinks it's all con.
That's true.
Text by Bruno Latour, who is really kind of a social theorist. He's
Hold on, pause.
interested in.
Wait, pause.
Mm-hmm.
If you couldn't tell from the title, the paper that he's going to be covering is Why Has Critique Run Out of Steam? From Matters of Fact to Matters of Concern. That was pretty obvious, obviously, but just want to make sure that's the thing he's going to be covering. And he gets it fucking wrong, and I don't know how. But he does. But he
He's got
does.
2.7k views on this. He's not a
Yeah.
big game, but then again, we aren't. Certainly.
Yeah. Look, Estelle, I'll have you know, I got 200 views on one of my videos. So,
Hmm.
um, actually, I am pretty big game. I'll have you know.
Yeah. Well, okay, I did once get a video with like, I don't know, 5K views um on my channel, but that was like years ago. It was on a video game.
It isn't about, really, just to clarify, it isn't about like him being anything. Like, that's like not what it's about. It's he gets Latour wrong, and he gets him wrong in a way that I can deal with and I can talk about. And that's kind of it. Like, I don't like care. Like, he's a professor teaching people. I don't know what like place he's at. He's a professor teaching people. So as far as I'm concerned, he's in a better position than me. And so it's like, it's like I don't really have, like, I'm not a professor. You know what I am? I'm transgender. So
I'm transgender too.
no, that's a lie. That's a
Wait,
postmodernist lie you spread right there.
I'm cisgender.
Yeah, exactly. That's also true.
Really?
Yeah.
Alright, let's continue. Recent.
The philosophy of science in particular. And he spent his career in large part demonstrating that the techniques by which science produces knowledge or episteme are actually thoroughly rhetorical, thoroughly the product of certain social and cultural interactions and uses of discourse. And so we have a very interesting text
Can you
here
pause?
that
That sentence is like
What?
wrong in every. Okay, it's not wrong in what he says he studies, but it's wrong in saying what Latour was doing. Latour wasn't showing that science, uh, 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 the techniques they use to acquire knowledge were purely rhetorical. That's like kind of the opposite. Latour, I think, Latour in several of his Latour in several of his books and papers, I think maybe in this paper, literally denounces the idea that science needs to be socially explained. And
Yeah.
this is for everything, by the way. He doesn't believe this for literally anything, nothing he studied. He believes needs a quote unquote social explanation. He doesn't believe that. He doesn't think that.
And also,
So yeah.
and also his point is that um well, Latour's point is that um like there's not simply uh it's not simply about characterizing as rhetorical. Like it's as if it's he's this guy is speaking as if Latour is saying, "Oh, it's all about discussion. It's all about discourse." But
Yeah.
no, Latour specifically illustrates the different techniques that scientists use to build objects.
Yeah.
It's it's not simply a matter of discourse.
Yeah,
It's
no.
all.
That would make him um that would literally go against the thing he wrote about We Have Never Been Modern, and I think pasteurization of plants. It would also go against what he talked about in Lab Life too. Even in Lab Life, he wasn't making this move. In the second edition, um, in the first edition, Latour kept the social construction of scientific facts. But even in it, he says, well, we're going to actually mean something specific by the word social. We're going to take social in a particular way, particular kind of thing. The social is like different from the typical understanding.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I'm not sure what. Well, if he's not gotten a big background in Latour, I could understand it if he's just read Has Critique or Not Esteem.
I'm pretty sure he's just read YS pretty. Okay, well, there's actually a problem with that. He postures like he knows about Latour. So later on, right now I'm like talking about stuff I've already seen, but he postures like he has seen other stuff by Latour in something that he says, and it's like, no, no, no.
This starts with a fundamentally bad perspective on Latour.
Yeah, yeah.
That he entitled, Why Has Critique Run Out of Steam? From Matters of Fact to Matters of Concern. And I'll be talking about that a little bit here today. So, I think that in some ways, the question for us that Latour's essay presents us with is persuasion still possible? And I think in a moment you'll see how this question resonates in our particular historical moment. But he writes in the context of the opening of the Second Gulf War, and he says, this is on page 225, he says, should we be at war too? He's talking about we, the scholars, the intellectuals. Is it really our duty to add fresh ruins to fields of ruins? Is it really the task of the humanities to add deconstruction to destruction? More iconoclasm to iconoclasm? What has become of the critical spirit? Has it run out of steam? And so he's talking about people who engage in criticism professionally. And he's saying, the world's at war. And in times of war, generals revise their battle plans, right? Why is it that critics, people who are professionally trained in criticism, rhetorical criticism, social criticism, philosophical criticism, these kinds of things, why is it that we haven't revised our battle plans probably in 5 decades? So what we have to do first is talk a little bit about the...
All right. He talks about criticism as the same thing as critique. A critique has a different edge to it. I think. Like,
yeah. When you're done, I was actually going to ask you to pause soon so I could talk about something. But
yeah.
But don't worry. You go.
A critique is more critique to my understanding is more about trying to expose the workings the workings around the workings behind the thing you're seeing. Criticism would more be about well, maybe more immanent critique, working inside the things that you're presented with. Like, I think that's what Latour is referring to. Yeah. I don't know where he's taking that, but it doesn't seem it doesn't seem right to begin with.
Yeah. Um, Also, there's kind of a little bit of a um. Okay, if you ever read "Why Has Critique Run Out of Steam," um, it'll come across kind of odd that he talked about it as being about is persuasion still possible. I think that's more product of him. I'm pretty sure, from what I understand, he's a professor of rhetoric or something like that. He's in some field surrounding it, and so his focus is on that. What what why is critique Renata Steam is about? Um, it isn't it isn't really about persuasion. It's about a different way to present things. Not even a different way. Uh, it's about a certain way of speaking about things. It's not really about persuasion. The goal in what Latour is talking about isn't to persuade anyone. The difference between matters of fact and matters of concern is not that one is better at persuasion. Um, it, it's about fair representation, which, like, if you read Latour's representation in like the political sense of the word, uh, uh, it's about that. And if I had to say something, um, about it, um,
Mhm.
as like a whole meta thing to it, it's not really about persuasion, though I understand where he gets the idea from. But that's less of a thing. That's less of a thing that's wrong with him, and more just a something I want to point out, just because um, it's something that he's focusing on because um, understandably, wise critique Renata Steam uh, has implications for the things he's studying and he's focusing on.
Yeah. It, like Latour, when Latour is talking about critique, it's more about uh, well, how he's talking about it. It's about sowing doubts more than convincing of a certain position. Uh,
Yeah, it's about a particular way of arguing, which is why he represents it with the critical denunciation,
mhm.
because it's about a particular way of arguing about something, um, a manner of speech, a mode of speech, you could say, of like to like just borrow like things he said, like in other stuff.
Yeah. All right. Wait. I think I stopped him right in the middle of his sentence. Just
Decades. So what we have to do first is talk a little bit about the existing battle plan and when it emerged. Um, and I think for critics, for the project of critique, right, we could probably trace our moment back to the revolutions in consciousness in the 60s, which was a movement towards the criticism of traditional values, uninterrogated truths, social norms, expectations, certain limitations on individual liberty that were achieved through institutional power or domination. Um, and so I think that the aim of criticism during that time came to be to show that the thing that's always been accepted as truth, as the way it is, as the way it should be, right, is actually historically contingent not reliable, not fundamentally true in some transcendental sense, but is instead the product of certain exercises of power. And so the critical task, beginning in earnest, I guess, in the 1960s, and as I'll show, it actually predates that a little bit. Um, but that project began essentially an interrogation of facts and a challenging of facts. And the task became to show that what you think is a fact, right, is actually sort of an opinion masquerading as a fact, or perhaps an irrational gesture of faith in some external source, whether that's religion or nation or morality or politics or whatever. Uh, and so I think that, and I hope this will resonate with you students. I think that probably
Uh,
the ones
can you pause?
Sorry,
Okay.
I was looking for a good moment. Pause.
There's a certain weird thing to this that he's gonna say something and get into, and it's why I'm pretty sure he's a conservative. It's why I'm pretty sure. Um, the moment, okay, the moment Latour is talking about, he doesn't bring it up here, but it's actually important. For Latour, social theorists for a very long time were punching down. They were punching down to the ignorant masses. They were doing all this stuff. And I think um, let me see if it's. I wonder if it's actually. It might be in here. Okay, it might be in here somewhere. I forget though. Where he talks about it. But if it's not in here, it, it's in one of Latour's other papers.
But you see how he brings up, he sort of brings up, when talking about the consciousness revolution, that's what he said. He sort of brings
Yeah,
up Foucault without mentioning him,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
also in a very simplified way.
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't actually finished, but sorry, I
Sorry.
was just thinking of trying to get myself back on track. No, you're fine. No, you're fine. It sounded like I was finished.
Okay.
Um, but for Latour, what used to happen? So social scientists were primarily punching down, as I said. They were fighting for people who were generally considered ignorant. These would be poorer people, and also generally distrusted. These would be, uh, politicians, all this stuff. Um, but then social scientists attacked um, science and facts with the critical denunciation. And it actually turns out, well, this doesn't work. It doesn't. The critical denunciation uh, works, or uh, can work on religion and all this stuff, but it actually can't work on scientific facts. Um, it's just it utterly fails, partially because it relies on scientific facts, um, um, like very much so. Yeah, Pippa gets it right. Remember something like that criticism of science for the first time the critic faced a worthwhile target, one that could fight back. Yes, yes. Um, yeah. Uh, but it's not. Sorry. Continue. He's going to say something. I'll be able to say it better later. Sorry, I'm trying to respond to the whole thing because I already watched it. So
Yeah. I had something to say more about the Foucault thing, but
to have stronger conservative impulses, it'll resonate with more than the ones who have progressive impulses.
well, say
but
it.
it's easy to see in your courses, isn't it? That many of your professors, like, this seems to be their objective to show, in fact, that, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Say it then. Say
Oh, all right. I need to affirm myself. I need to. Sorry. um. I was just depression maxing, you know. I have something to say, but you know, it's not important, you know. Okay. So he's bringing up a simplified version of Foucault. Has been like about announcing those truths as being not as being not transcendental, which I think is the okay. It's I'm being a bit of a Kantian here, but it's not the right word. It would be transcendent. Transcendental would be would be in the realm of perception. So wait, where was I? Yeah. Talking about something as irrational. I mean that's not something that that started with the critics. The critics. It's kind of started with the Enlightenment, no? Well, okay, didn't even start with that, but this kind of what I'm saying is that he's portraying something new as if it was new. He's portraying something as if it was new, but in fact, it's kind of more complicated than that. There are ways that we like that philosophy that critique has evolved in time, but it's really not the first time that someone was denounced as irrational or something, or religious impositions, you know. Yeah. Let's continue.
American society is not good, and that in fact it hinges on a series of opinions and distortions and lies, or that what we think about our history isn't true, right? This is kind of like what the 1619 Project is all about, if you followed that, where recently the New York Times said, no, the true founding of America wasn't 1776 when the Declaration of Independence was signed. The true founding of America was when the first ship of slaves arrived to America. And the attempt was saying, no. America wasn't founded on principles of liberty. In fact, the core principle of America is white supremacy and slavery, right? And this gesture is... that critical gesture is an instantiation of the impulse that I'm talking about in the humanities and social sciences.
Can you pause? That isn't an instance. What he explained isn't an instance of the critical gesture. Okay. Latour has no problem with us going over our history again. That's not what the critical gesture is. Um, the critical gesture, the critical gesture, if you want to get to the heart of it, is about placing the critic in a position above everyone else. The critic actually sits above you, and the critic knows and the critic sees. While the person being denounced doesn't. They are stupid, they're an idiot, they're controlled by all this stuff, and they don't see it. The critic who actually never sleeps, does. But that isn't what the 1619 Project is saying. The 1619 Project is examining our history again. And if Latour had a problem with this, the place where he actually invented the idea of the critical denunciation, he wouldn't have fucking wrote it in, which is We Have Never Been Modern, which is a re-examination of our history. This isn't... This guy doesn't understand it. What the critical denunciation would be is is somebody going, let's see if I can come up with an example on the spot. People hold on. I'm just going to look at the critical. Sorry. I'm just going to look at it. It'll help me come up with it. I'm a bit fucking all over the place right now. If you didn't tell.
I think I can come up with something like that.
So, okay. I actually have something. Also, wait, no. It's doubly not that. Okay. Sorry, I forgot something very important about the critical denunciation. It's specifically this. It would be something like, sorry, Estelle, you can do it because I'm not going to be able to. My mind's fucking bouncing too much.
Well, I'll try.
1 second. I'm not done. But an important thing about the critical enunciation is specifically saying, that you believe in this thing, and you believe it has this power, but it actually doesn't have this power. You actually have all the power. And then the critical, and then the fetishist is what I'll call the person being announced. Then thinks that they are suddenly free and they can suddenly do whatever they want because, well, everything comes from them now. Everything actually comes from the fetishist, the actor, whatever you want to call them. But the critical thinker tells you, well, actually, no, it doesn't. It actually comes from all this stuff, and you replace it in economy or something like that. But that isn't. But the 1619 Project is an example of that. For specifically the reason that it's not doing that. It's not doing anything like that.
Yeah.
An example of the critical denunciation, if you wanted to use something that actually is fairly recent, is Bourdieu's idea of illusio. That's would be an example of a critical of the critical gesture. The thing Latour is critiquing, the thing that Latour brings up in this paper. I actually wonder if I actually wonder if this guy even knows that Illugio is like a thing, like or if it's just like a fancy word Latour used.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't see it yet. He does. Wait, he doesn't mention a passage where it's mentioned yet. I have faith.
Yeah.
You have watched it all. I don't know.
I won't ruin your faith.
Yeah.
It'll get ruined on it. You're gonna come up with the critical gesture.
Uh. Hmm. Now you explain it a bit more. Uh. Hmm. Okay, let me try. And you tell me if I'm right. Oh, you say that the Civil War was about slavery. Well, it's actually about the economics. Well, okay, it's kind of a weird example because it's also kind of a lost cause thing argument. So it's a bit muddled in there. Uh, hmm. You say, I just realized my example is a bit muddled, so gotta come up with another one.
I think I have one. I think I have a simple one.
Yeah.
Do you believe America is founded on freedom? That the Constitution actually has any power? But no, the Constitution actually only has, the power you give it. The fetishist, now freed, thinks he can do anything. He thinks he can just change the Constitution willy nilly, however the fuck he wants. Critic steps in a second time. Well, you naive believer, you simpleton, you're really an idiot in all of this. Because what you don't understand is that you can't just change the Constitution. You can't just do this because you are dictated by a series of laws, social or legal, that actually control you and your abilities. You are actually constrained by these. That would be an example of the critical denunciation. The 1619 Project is an example of that. Like the critical, that's like, there's a reason he talks about the critical denunciation in it. The critical denunciation is a specific thing. It isn't all social theory. It's a very specific kind. Very specific kind. Like, this can't be applied to a lot of things. In sorry, it can't be applied to a lot of things, at least totally. There might be the chance that inside of social scientist arguments broadly, there is an example of this move. But the reason why Latour talks about this is specifically because of his engagement with people like Bourdieu and like people in STS. This comes out of this. It's really fucking important that he comes from STS. Yeah. It would also because Wags Pip is totally right. It would also say it would literally also say that too. The critic's second move would be you had no choice but to make the Constitution that way because of economics, politics, etc. And you actually can't get out of that. You actually can't. These things actually do control you and they constrain you. Even though you give this object all the power, there's actually something else dominating you, and you still actually can't do anything. the critic, the fetishist can never do anything. The fetishist can never act. There's never action. It's only the critic who never sleeps, who can act. This guy doesn't understand the denunciation, the thing he's talking about.
Yeah. He like I bet the 1619 project is wait, I don't really know it a lot, only from the few things. I assume you've looked into it more.
Know about it because conservatives talked about it, and so I know about it through kind of osmosis about that and listening to when I was younger, like leftist stuff, like kind of left-leaning liberal people talk about it. But like the 1619 project isn't an example. The 1619 project is an example of us revising and going over our history and saying, hey, this is actually it. I guarantee you, if I looked into it, I wouldn't find the critical denunciation in it in the way, at least in the way he's talking about it, because he doesn't understand it. Because it isn't simply enough to say, it isn't simply enough to denounce the thing. You have to have the second move as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which on its own you don't necessarily have the second move. Like just shocker, Latour says things are bad all the time.
Yeah.
Latour says things are bad all the time. Like it isn't saying, well, you actually can't think anything is bad. It's talking specifically about a way you shouldn't auto position yourself. Like really, like really, like okay, Latour doesn't think that the critical denunciation applies to flat earthers as well. But like Latour doesn't think the Earth's flat. And like if you ask Latour, well, is the Earth flat? Well, like Latour would say, no, that's like ridiculous. That's fucking silly. That's like kind of a little bit goofy. No, I don't believe that. Or like with global warming, Latour doesn't think that about like global warming deniers. Like he would deny global warming. That doesn't mean he doesn't think they're wrong.
He's lumping all of those progressive sounding things into what Latour is talking about, but that's not what Latour is.
Yeah.
Like
Latour's largely talking about a reactionary engagement, not a progressive one.
Yeah. Wait. Help. Okay. We spent 50 minutes almost on 6 minutes of this.
Good. That's good. It's good.
Has to continue.
To take all of our sort of ideals and gods and expose them as just a group of distortions, unjustified opinions, and exercises of power. And I think I see this in many courses, where we talk about the marginalization of certain students or this or that, right? This is all kind of to attack the status quo. And this is the context into.
See, this is where I'm pretty sure he's a fucking conservative because he's talking about it like this. The first two things he talked about were examples of the critical denunciation, saying, well, this is actually a product of your own mind. You actually do it. And then going on to talk about how it's actually about power. But saying students are marginalized, like Latour believes in marginalization. Like, it isn't a thing that Latour doesn't believe in. Latour, okay, it would be really ridiculous for Latour to not believe in attacking the status quo when he talks about attacking the status quo in science studies. He's going against the status quo in science studies, at least as he talks about it. You can say he's wrong, that he actually isn't attacking the status quo, whatever you want to say. But like, that's how Latour talks about what he's doing. Like, he talks about it as being a general position that people in science studies are too readily to adopt and not give up, and all of this stuff, or in social science generally. And so, no, it actually doesn't make sense for you to like for like that to be the case.
Yeah, like
It'd also be ridiculous because Latour is talking about denunciation itself in this way as something becoming like he's going to get to this later on, rather commonplace, which would make it the status quo, and yet um, he's he's attacking it. He's attacking it. So it's like, no, it isn't what Latour's saying. No, Latour isn't saying you don't have to believe in marginalization. Latour, by the way, Latour also, I just want to say something. Latour also isn't saying that those social scientists who argue this way are entirely wrong. Just so like that's clear.
yeah,
Like Latour doesn't agree with Bourdieu, but he thinks Bourdieu did good fucking work.
I,
Like,
you know, the thing he's doing is
what?
that he's applying Latour's what he thinks Latour says to he thinks he's targeting everyone the conservative mind thinks of as postmodernist or progressive.
Yeah. Hold on, wait. Is he in this doing the critical denunciation? He might actually be engaging in the critical denunciation himself. Hold on, I have to think about that.
Yeah.
Does it have all the moves? It might actually literally have all the moves.
Because the denunciation of postmodernism is a denunciation.
Yeah. And okay, I think he actually might. Okay, we'll let him continue. And I'll put it together, but I think he might actually be doing the critical denunciation, like, which is awesome. By the way, I just want to say it's awesome.
Yeah.
By the way, that in this he is doing the critical denunciation. Yeah. Okay.
The very thing that is being talked about here as
Yeah. And he's like, "We need to get past this. We need to get past the critical denunciation." It's like you're like doing it. You're doing the critical denunciation. I'm like pretty sure. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
To which Latour begins his inquiry. He's saying, like, geez, it's been a long time since we've been following this critical track. Is it working? Right? And what he says here, this is on page 227. He says, I intended to emancipate, he's talking about his earlier work, I intended to emancipate the public from prematurely naturalized, objectified facts. Was I foolishly mistaken? Have things changed so fast? And what he's saying there is that what he saw earlier in his career was that this idea that facts are natural and settled, science is settled, right? That this actually is a way of enforcing limitations on people, and enforcing a certain understanding of society and how life should be in these things. But he says, in today's case, right, in contrast to 30 or 40 years ago, the danger was no longer coming from an excessive confidence in ideological arguments posturing as matters of fact, as we've learned to combat so efficiently in the past. Rather, the danger is from an excessive distrust of good matters of fact disguised as bad ideological biases. So what he's saying is that since the 60s and 70s and 80s, to a large extent, the script has flipped. In the past, it was that your typical Joe, your average person, had too much faith in the way the world had been described by sources of authority and power. What Latour is saying is, in fact, now we've come the other way around. That the average Joe is overly skeptical, right, of what seem to be good facts and truths. And in some ways, Latour, I think, is bothered by the fact that what used to be this mode of critique as destruction, right? This idea of critique as destruction was initially a tool of the elite academic left, right? And this use of critique to show that facts are really kind of, opinions masquerading as facts, and that they don't really have the truth status that we believe. Initially, what this was a tool of the academic left and the 60s youth movements to dislodge what they...
Wait, the elite academic left and the 60s youth movement.
Yeah.
Like, kind of putting... unless you're saying that the 60s youth movement were the trolls of the elite academic left, which I think would be something that some people would say, or that somehow they were the youth movements were also the elite academic left. It's kind of, it's a bit weird. I'm saying,
he also is getting it wrong. It actually doesn't necessarily have to do with the it doesn't have to do with elites. I'm going to read something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
That's from like 2 pages after that he's not going to get into, but actually shows the issue. Latour says, "Let me be mean for a second. What's the real difference between conspiracists and a popularized, that is, a teachable version of social critique inspired by a too quick reading of, let's say, a sociologist as eminent as Pierre Bourdieu? To be polite, I will stick with the French field commanders. In both cases, you have to learn to become suspicious of everything people say, because of course we all know that they live in the thralls of a complete illugio of their real motives. Then, after disbelief has struck and an explanation is requested for what is really going on, in both cases, again, it is the same appeal to powerful agents hidden in the dark, acting always consistently, continuously, relentlessly. Of course, we in the academia like to use more elevated causes: society, discourse, knowledge/power, fields of forces, empires, capitalism, while conspiracists like to portray a miserable bunch of greedy people with dark intents. But I find something trebly similar in the structure of the explanation: the first movement of disbelief, and then in the wheeling of causal explanations coming out of the deep dark below. What if explanations resorting automatically to power, society, discourse had outlived their usefulness, deteriorated to the point of now feeding the most gullible sort of critique? The fact, I just want to emphasize this again. I just want to emphasize a few particular things. What does he say in the beginning? What is he talking about? What's the real difference between what? Conspiracists and a popularized version of critique. He's not saying Pierre Bourdieu did like bad work entirely, even if he disagrees with him. That isn't what he's actually saying. The key is actually in the double move. The disbelief, and then the explanations automatically resorting to power, society, discourse. These are the things. It is the automatic thing, placing, not considering this, not examining this as well, not thinking that this is actually worth examining as well, and simply using it uncritically, um, like literally. That's what Latour is saying. That like isn't to say that the French field commanders did bad. It's to say that this is being done on the cheap now, and we fucking got it lazy. Like that's kind of it.
Yeah. Let's continue.
Also, by the way, yeah, Pippa, that's totally right. Because what he's talking about, he also wants to resort to uncritically, but this time to the American dream, to freedom, to prosperity, to liberty. He wants to do that. He's as much a part of this, what Latour's talking about, um, as the thing he's trying to discuss, but badly. Like, Foucault did good work. Bourdieu did good work. It's like, I don't, yeah.
He's jumping the gun on but okay, he's trying to make Latour agree with him, and that's it doesn't work.
Yeah. It's totally anti-Latour. Latour who who is kind of willing to rehabilitate anyone. And like he's willing to take the worthwhile parts of someone and use them, and actually say, well, even these people who I very much disagree with, well, they did actually good work. They actually did do good work. It wasn't entirely fraught because he misunderstands. It wasn't that this way of doing things didn't work, and it didn't produce good, amazing things. It's that now, hey man, we fucking did this. Maybe we need to revise our strategy. They treated it. It's doing what he's doing with the idea of iconoclash, or the idea of factish. Um, it's turning a resource into a topic. Society, power, all this stuff were used simply as a resource, as a reservoir to take your argument from and to automatically use. But now, hey, maybe we actually need to examine these arguments themselves. Maybe we need to take a look at this. Maybe we need to um, examine our own critiques and revise our strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have much more to say about that.
they saw as stifling conservative visions of society. And in part, Latour is very upset that these critical methods have now been mobilized by ideological opponents of the left to advance or reassert conservative notions of ethics, politics, society, this kind of thing. And we can see this resentment where he says, should I, this is it's still 227. He says, should I reassure myself by simply saying that bad guys can use any weapon at hand, naturalized facts when it suits them, and social construction of facts when it suits them? Should we apologize for having been wrong all along, or should we rather bring the sword of criticism to criticism itself and do a bit of soul searching here? What were we...
Okay, one thing that he just done is Latour is mainly concerned about conspiracy theorists here. He he's kind of like, to say that he's going against the conservatives is kind of a self-report here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Latour is very clearly talking about conspiracy theorists, people who are using critique or something very similar to critique to really to attack well-established scientific facts.
Okay. It's crazy when in the next paragraph, after the paragraphs he's going to read, Latour brings up John Baudrillard, and it's like, what the fuck, man? No, he's not just attacking. He's not just attacking conservative. Like, unless you, I don't think Baudrillard was a conservative. I think he's considered on the left, and generally, I don't think is Baudrillard conservative?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. No, I don't think so either. I don't know much about him, but like, I only really hear left-wing people talk about him. Continental philosophy, post-Marxism, post-structuralism, postmodernism. Okay, yeah, this sounds all very left-wing to me. So, or at least on the left side of the aisle to me. So no,
and like, where does he ever talk about? He never talks about conservatives. Unless you think that conspiracy theorists are by default conservatives, or
yeah.
I mean, like, not to say that they are left either, but he talks really about using critique to bring back older ways of thinking, traditional things, but that's not really what Latour is talking about.
Yeah.
Like, in a way, he might be doing that. This guy. But this is not it.
Really after when we are so intent on showing the social construction of scientific facts. Nothing guarantees, after all, that we should be right this time, or that we should be right all the time, right? There is no sure ground, even for criticism. isn't this what criticism intended to say? That there is no sure ground anywhere? But what does it mean when this lack of sure ground is taken away from us by the worst possible fellows as an argument against the things we cherish? And of course, this we here seems to be liberal academic elitists. You know, I guess they're frustrated that
Pause.
there's been this.
No. No. Latour later in the fucking essay, I think, talks about his battle with cancer, the god that he prays to. No, he's not talking about liberal academic elitists. That's not the we he's talking to. The we he's talking about is a general we. The we is we. And it includes this guy right here. It's a total self-report. Hold on, I need to make sure. I'm pretty sure Latour later in this essay talks about cancer. Yeah. Sorry, I just want to be. I just need to read this to to make this. Is it not time for some progress to the fact position, to the fairly position? Why not add a third position, a fair position? Is it really asking too much from our collective intellectual life to devise at least once a century some new critical tools? Should we not be thoroughly humiliated to see the military personnel are more alert, more vigilant, more innovative than we, the pride of academia, the creme de la creme, who go on ceasefully transforming the whole rest of the world into naive believers, into fetishists, to hapless victims of dominations, while at the same time turning them into the mere superficial consequences of powerful hidden causalities coming from infrastructures whose makeup is never interrogated? All the while being intimately certain that the things really close to our heart would in no way fit any of these roles? Are you not tired of those explanations? I am. I have always been. When I know, for instance, that the God to whom I pray, the works of art I cherish, the colon cancer I've been fighting, the piece of law I am studying, the desire I feel, indeed, the very book I am writing, could in no way be accounted for by fetish or fact, nor by any combination of those two absurd positions. Like, the we he's talking about, the lecture is for, okay, the lecture is for an academic audience, but like the we isn't for left-wing people. The we is for everyone, like left-wing or not.
Yeah. Like that, um, he's putting himself on the side of this guy, what's he called again? Dr. Elvanger or Elwanger? I don't know. Funny name. Anyway, he's putting himself on the side of everything that Thor talks against.
Yeah.
Or like the bad guys. He's putting on he's reading the bad guys. He thinks, oh, that's my side. But like, why does it have to be your side? Why is it because that Thor talks about the bad guys? Like, because he's progressive? I like.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so far he's not put. Okay, I've not been fair. He's not put himself on the side of the bad guys, but he's put the conservatives on the side of the bad guys. But
I'm pretty certain. After this is still okay. After this, if you're still up for it, either I'm gonna do this alone or I'm gonna do this with you.
mm-hmm.
Learn about the 1619 project. Office stream. This is the off stream thing.
Yeah.
Is like it's so weird. Also, it was the 1619. Sorry, This video was 6 years ago, I think. 1619 project. When was this?
That was pretty in
Oh,
2020,
yeah,
I think.
yeah, that would okay. That would have actually been. For
In
some reason, I thought it was like. For some reason, I thought this was like a what's it called? A like a Gamergate level thing, which is obviously still fairly recent, but
yeah, it it was recent for him at the time.
yeah.
So I understand better why he would bring it up. Yeah,
Still wrong, but yeah.
yeah.
I know why he brings it up.
It's just uh, he kind of redirects what Pretor is talking about in a very strange way.
Oh, maybe, and that would actually make sense because that would actually make sense, especially because this guy seems like he would be of the generation to know about the Weather Underground. Sorry, Las Bandidas says in. Okay, I should just make a stream chat on my what's it called on my Discord. For you specifically, Las Bandidas. Um, um, she says Weather Underground is famous for having wealthy kids in it. Maybe that's where it comes from. Because he talked about left wing elites and youth movements, and so the Weather Underground has that. And Las Bandidas also says, I think he thinks Latour is conservative. Yeah, I'm so confused at what he thinks. I don't understand it. I don't know how he gets like anything from what he's saying.
It's well, it's easy to see the words and make them fit into your own your own with your own background, your own prejudices. Maybe not a bit prejudiced word to be using. Um, into your own conceptions of things, which is,
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of what we can't help but do, but like there's a way. Like, I don't know how to explain it. You can't just read more about that, or read more, like get a feel of what he's talking about.
yeah. Also, how long into the video?
We're we're how about a third of the way there.
That's crazy. We've gone for like an hour on 11 minutes,
Yeah,
but it's good. This is good content
this is content. Yeah.
because we're engaging. We just have so much to say about it.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't have much to say about it, but that's all right because you're there to pick up the pace.
Yeah, I like yelling at men. Makes me happy.
Yeah, unlike we're not yelling at women. Well, that's someone
Unlike
else's job.
hashtag some people I know.
Yeah. I mean, someone may need to be yelled at. I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, okay, it's maybe not about
you
me,
will
but about choice.
you will notice that I've only yelled at one woman on my channel, one time. I might add, it was Dr. Anna. I didn't even go that hard on her. It was just like, okay, girl. Okay, girl, stop doing your pop psychology nonsense.
Yeah. Dr. Anna.
Democratization of critique in some ways, and that the hoi polloi have gotten their hands on the critical weapons that have enabled a reinvention or restructuring of the social order. And so he says that radical skepticism now has become the problem. Used to be the problem that people were too ready to believe, too gullible. He says that now the problem is that people aren't ready enough to believe, right? And what he points to is global warming skepticism. And he says, like, that's a sign that this kind of trickle down criticism has gotten down to the uneducated masses who now think that, well, there's no scientific fact, right? There's no scientific consensus. Why should we believe that the world is heating up? And he points to 9/11 deniers, right? And some of you are too young to remember this, but in the years after 9/11, there were a number of people, and shockingly mainstream people, who said, no. It wasn't radical Islamic terrorists that flew planes into the Twin Towers. This was an inside job. Bush planted.
Okay. Maybe he's not been. Oh, hello, Brooks viewers, the GQC people.
Hello. We're going over a guy who doesn't know anything. Okay. He's okay. He doesn't understand why he's taken out of stream, and like that's like so upsetting.
Yeah. Oh, sorry with the Baron stream setup. This is.
I'm like halfway through the first chapter, Pashy.
Yeah, few viewers. Hello.
I'm like halfway. I got life thing caught up to me, so I ended up having to stop. But I've like stopped most of my ratings, but it'll be starting up soon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Presentations?
I haven't forgotten that I'm doing it either. I just want to make that clear. It's happening. His name is Professor.
L1.
I want to say Eisenhower, but yeah, that isn't his name.
And I want to. Well, you can present you, and I can present me and myself.
Yeah, one of us is Envy, the other one is Estelle.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah. And we're watching this person talking about Bruno Latour and how actually, wait, he's a conservative, but also but also he thinks that what's his point again?
yeah, that's what I thought when reading it. What was his point? His point was that Bruno Latour thinks that the issue with critique nowadays is that it's been given to the masses, the hoi polloi, and that they actually can't handle that, and we need to give it all back to the academics again. That's what he said. That's like literally what he was just saying. But that isn't what Latour is saying here. What Latour is saying is, it isn't that. It's that. It's about. It's about. I think. Did he just read it, or did I just read it? One of us just read it. It's about talking about explanations that uncritically resort to things like power in society and stuff like that. That's what he's getting at. That's what he's really getting at. It's also not even really the masses. It is mostly, he is talking mostly about people in academia. And the other people he's talking about, they aren't academics, but they're like either politicians or stuff like that. I forget if he uses the quote that he uses in Facing Gaia about the the guy that talks about, well, we actually need to de-emphasize the solidity of global warming and stuff like that, and make it certain that it's this. But yeah,
Like he's taking as the start of Letter's essay, why has critique run out of steam, as um uh, as um, out of context a bit, because he ends up more precising his position.
I love you too.
Dio Ashnix. So yeah, he brings up the 1619 project, which is, I mean, it was recent to him at that time, 6 years ago, but as being an example of the critical turn. Alright, later, Yusuf.
Yeah, it's really late for us too. Don't worry.
But I'm still running on fumes.
Yeah, once again, I'm here. So
And if you look at the thumbnail, maybe I could have a way to show it. The critical trick is actually not about simply saying that, oh, you see this thing, well, this thing is actually not this thing. It's actually like he used the 1619 project. Oh, you think USA was founded in 1776? No, it's actually 1619. But that's not just what the critical trick is. Sorry, I'm trying to sum it up for the new audience.
you're trying to do like me, but you can't.
Yeah.
Because I'm just so cool. The critical enunciation, really fast. Uh, the critic tells you, you the naive believer, you have like some sort of object, and you think it actually controls you or empowers you in some way. It actually isn't really necessarily controlling. It is more about this thing helps you act, is how I'll say it. And you say, well, actually, the critical thinkers tells you, well, actually, no, it actually doesn't do this. It's actually all your own doing. This actually all stems from you. And then you, now thinking that you have been freed, speak a little bit too soon. You're like, oh well, I can really do something. I can really change things. I can do what I want. The critical thinker, never sleeping, always awake, tells you finally, well, hey, you actually can't because you're controlled by this other thing: economy, society, capital, whatever it might be, whatever the explanation ends up being. That's a simple way. What was my example before? It was about the Constitution. The good examples, the example I came up with on my own is about the Constitution. You think fuck, I completely forget my example. But yeah, I had a good example. That was like, okay, I think. But I don't remember it anymore. And I'm too like I'm a little bit manic right now, I guess. Yeah, like this.
The critical trick. Two objects, two subjects. On one side, the subject is either so powerful that he or she can create everything out of her own labor. Going to the fetish, the object is either nothing but a screen on which to project human free will, or so to going to fact, or so powerful that it causally determines what humans think can do. Wait, I kind of fucked it up.
He missed the subject.
Yeah. Try that again. The subject is either so powerful that he or she can create everything out of her own labor, or nothing but a mere receptacle for the forces of determinations known by natural and social sciences. Going to the other fetish fact.
Going to the object pull, as Latour calls
Yeah.
it.
The object is either nothing but a screen on which to project human free will, or so powerful that it causally determines what humans think and do.
Yeah, and it's the critical enunciation. And the important thing about the critical enunciation is the two tasks. The two tasks are actually never like here presented together. Um, uh, uh, there's two moves, which is why there's two objects and there's two subjects. Okay, well that actually isn't why, but yeah.
But he makes it about a simple substitution.
Yeah.
Kind of simplifies that word to the point that it's not really talking about the same thing.
Yeah, because with the 1619 project, he was like, oh, it actually is just, well, they're revising the history, and like America is no longer founded on this; it's actually founded on this other thing, which is like, no, Latour, you can go over history and revise what you previously thought about it. Latour has a whole book about it. It's called We Unurban Modern. That's like kind of doing that. But obviously probably in a little bit. No, actually not in a different way. Probably not in a different way. Besides that, just more historical. I don't know. I don't know much about it. But besides, like what that is, but yeah.
Shall we? We've been at 1 hour and a half, and we've only got to 12 minutes.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Bombs in the buildings, and that it was a cover up, or as planted radical Islamic, for a number of people, and 9/11 deniers, right? And some of you are too young to remember this, but in the years after 9/11, there were a number of people, and shockingly mainstream people, who said, no, it wasn't radical Islamic terrorists that flew planes into the Twin Towers. This was an inside job. Bush planted bombs in the buildings, and that it was a cover up. Or as Latour points out here, some people were saying that it was Israel's Mossad and the CIA that did this to allow for us to launch a war, right? And Latour, to his credit, is saying, no, like probably the most logical, easiest explanation is probably true. Probably just a bunch of terrorists like hijacked planes and flew them into the Twin Towers. Sometimes the simplest explanation is the easiest. But I think that this sort of conspiratism, if I can use a fake word, is still alive and well, and we see it during.
Hold on, can you pause? Can you please pause?
Yeah.
Well, Latour is not just saying that the simplest explanation is the right one. No. It's about what I talked about. It's about the disbelief that comes first, and then the automatic recourse to this other thing, society, whatever, a power. It'll usually be some dark force that's actually hidden behind the scenes. It'll usually be some hidden force that, like, it does sound conspiratorial because it often is. Like what Latour is This actually, I don't want to explain reassembling the social right now, but I will. But I'm actually going to. What Latour is really getting at with this is the idea that he gets at in reassembling the social, where social scientists, not constructivists, social scientists end up not showing their work. They end up saying that this invisible hidden entity is acting behind the scene, but just posit its existence without showing that it's actually doing anything. They don't do that. They just will say, "Hey, it's there, it's here," but we're not gonna. But it like doesn't actually really have it. They aren't showing the effects. They're just positing that the thing is there, and just automatically saying, "Well, this is this, and this is why." This is why they're not going through it. That's a bad way to say it, but yeah. Oh, I could actually an easier way to say it, since I'm a little bit fucking wired, would be to just pull up something the social because I know exactly what to look for. Because he uses the word vampirical. What is even more dangerous in the inconsiderate acceptance of hidden variables is the shift from the sociology of the social to critical sociology. This is the only discipline that finds itself scientific when it ignores data and replaces it with uncontroversial it ignores data and replaces it with uncontroversial data from already assembled social forces, but also when it takes the indignant reactions of those who are thus explained as what proves the unbearable truth of the critic's interpretations. At this point, sociology stops being empirical and becomes vampirical. It's the great tragedy of the social sciences that the lesson was not heeded, that critical sociologists still consider as their treasure what they should rather be ashamed of, namely confusing what obfuscates data with what is revealed by it. Would you qualify as scientific a discipline that puts to one side the precise information offered by fieldwork and replaces it by instances of other things that are invisible, and those things people have not said and have vocally denied? That's what it's about. It's what he's getting at here. When you ignore the when you instead replace it with things that just like are exactly the opposite of like what you're doing, and you take it as proof. This is where like the conspiracy, like where the conspiracism comes in. Well, people are denying it, so well, actually, it must be true.
Yeah. And also, can I say how crazy he is that, like, he's saying that some people might not be there to for the 9/11 conspiracy theories, because it is very much a very present
Yeah.
thing, and probably even more so in 2020, to say that Bush did 9/11. Like, something I saw.
His
I,
his students would have been born. The earliest I would have think would be like 2002, because this was
yeah.
in 2020. So they would be 18, so they would be born around 2002. I heard I was born 3 years later, and I still heard about like 9/11 conspiracism.
Yeah, but that's maybe maybe he's not much of an internet guy, or he doesn't assume that his students are internet people.
It's not just that. 9/11 conspiracism is just like one of those things that's like around. Yeah. People who believe in literally any other conspiracy will bring up 9/11. Like Jordan's like right. They don't just stop at one. They like hoard them all. If you ever talk to one. It's kind of awesome seeing it work. I used to talk to a lot of conspiracy theorists when I was young.
Online or?
Yeah, online. I knew someone in real life, but
Yeah. But like so far, even he's not really like bringing up any. He previously he talked about bad guys and explicitly said, "Oh, Latour is when Latour is talking about bad guys, he's talking about conservatives." But is
yeah,
he? But so far he's only mentioned conspiracy theorists. Is he really saying that, or climate science? Is he really saying that only conservatives are climate science deniers or conspiracy theorists about 9/11? Because like a lot of people who are progressive are seemingly so. We're being conspiracy theorists about 9/11.
yeah. That's why he talks about Baudrillard. Um, that's why he talks about him. Brings up him.
Hey Lisa, how you doing? Alright.
Right. Now you see people saying that Xi of China, the leader of China, deliberately released this virus on the world. That's there doesn't seem to be any evidence to support that. Many of my freshmen like to talk about the Illuminati, which is apparently some underground conspiracy of people who somehow rule the world. I don't know where that comes from. Another example of it is birthers, right? The people who are like, oh, Barack Obama's not an American citizen, right? They're skeptical. Another example is the whole QAnon thing. If you follow that with President Trump, this is an idea that somehow Trump's got this big plan to take down the stifling bureaucratic administration that controls our government. Kids in cages is another one of these things, right? Like people are like, oh my God, Trump has kids in cages at the border, right? And then we find out that the pictures that are circulating of those kids in cages were actually taken during the Obama administration, right?
Okay, but is that really a conspiracy theory? Even he's not denying that there were kids in cages. He's just saying that they're not attributed to the right person. But
Yeah. Also, I just want to mention the pictures being from Obama's administration doesn't mean that Trump didn't have kids in cages. Like that isn't enough to say that isn't the case. They might have just gotten lazy and used older pictures that looked worse.
and it's not even
So
like it's not simply alleging a thing that's false. That's a, a conspiracy theory. Like he's throwing all of those things together. I guess that put like he's mentioned a few conservative coded conspiracy theories. He had to throw it a progressive one. I guess for some reason, which is not even one. What will make it a conspiracy theory even?
yeah. Okay. I do just have to say. Okay. The kids in cages thing isn't really a conspiracy theory. A conspiracy theory necessarily needs, I feel like, dark and powerful forces acting behind things. Did the kids in cages have that?
I mean, the government does things, and when the government is alleged to have done things,
But that doesn't feel dark and hidden. Just saying, okay. If you bring up like the CIA or something, then maybe. Then like you might have a point. Okay, but sometimes the CIA does do stuff, okay? Okay. This is the problem. Sometimes conspiracy theories are right.
yeah. And nowadays, like, no one would dispute that kids are being put into cages.
Yeah. I would.
But the but the conservative would just say that the kids deserved it, because
Yeah.
I see how much it's changed from back in the days where, like, it was simply, oh, we need to, it's not us who's putting kids in cages. Now it's like, kids in cages, yeah, but we're doing that, but they deserved it.
Kind of awesome. When I was in Melbourne, there were these Lebanese guys handing out books about the Vatican controlling everything. That's kind of awesome. I believe it. I'd believe it.
I mean, you gotta have some. I mean, like, it's easy to see with the Crusades and everything that, like, everything that the Vatican was pulling the strings, and it may still be pulling the strings now. But I mean, like, yeah, it is not. I feel a need to say no, it's not the case. But I guess I think it's kind of obvious. Um. Yeah.
But nobody seemed particularly bothered about it then, right? So there's this cognitive dissonance, like, like nobody cared about kids in cages when this guy's president, right? But then once this guy's president and there's kids in cages, all of a sudden kids in cages is an enormous moral indignity and humanitarian atrocity, right? And it's this cognitive dissonance that Latour is pointing to. Another example, right, of this kind of public
Is it?
conspiracy.
No. What we're talking about isn't cognitive dissonance. Because the thing about it, the critic keeps the two denunciations separate. It's not cognitive dissonance. It's part of the like critical gesture. It's like it's not cognitive dissonance. Like, it's crazy for you to say that, like, using Latour. Latour wouldn't say that. I don't know. Latour wouldn't say that.
Like
Cognitive dissonance is an example. Resorting to just simply saying cognitive dissonance might actually be more of a thing that Latour would be critiquing. Saying, oh, well, it's just like.
But like, he's so in his own head, like, the cognitive distance between saying that in one case, with one president, something is ignored, and the other, with the other president, something is held up as a very bad thing. Like, that's like that's so far away from what Latour is trying to do here. That I it's kind of saying that that it's kind of like saying that Plato was talking about liberal versus conservative.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it, it not in terms of distance, but in the terms that like it's so disconnected from. Well, I guess in terms of distance, but like it's so disconnected. Like that. What? He clearly doesn't get what Latour is trying to do.
No. He like half gets it, but then he drops the ball.
Yeah, jumps the ball to like uh trying to apply it to modern things and contemporary to him, and uh failing to demonstrate an understanding. Okay, I'm speaking a bit like a teacher, not grading,
Yeah.
honestly.
Is Trump's election itself, right? The facts going into election night in 2016 was that, Hillary Clinton had a 95% chance of winning the election. Everybody thought that she would, right? And then it turned out, oh, he didn't win, right? Or I'm sorry, she didn't win. He won. And immediately, what happened? Well, Russian collusion, right? Russia fixed the election, right? And for 2 years, for the better part of 2 years, this was the refrain from media elites, from intellectual elites, was that the Trump campaign colluded with Russia, right, in order to rig the election, right, and that's how Trump became president. Well, 3 years later, Mueller comes out and he had all the resources in the world and says, yeah, there's no evidence of collusion, right?
Okay, this is kind of closer to what Latra is talking about. Like, I don't like the way he's taking it as like, oh, there either was Russian collusion or there never was a Russian collusion. There, but the Russian collusion thing was kind of a dark force. Does that mean that no such thing and no such thing happened? That like
Yeah.
there wasn't anything like that, but it also um doesn't exactly do all the work to make Trump win.
Yeah. Yeah. It's you're right. That actually, it is closer. Um, I agree. I support. I was gonna say something else, but then I forgot. So ignore me.
Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't think there wasn't Russian collusion or something like that. It, like, but he's taking it as if there was Russian collusion, it was the only thing that could explain Trump winning, and he's taking as disproving that there was Russian collusion at all. Wait, well, there was the Mueller report. I don't remember exactly what it said, but I do remember that there was actually uh, collusion. Just it's not just that made Trump win.
And does anybody say, "Oh, we were wrong"? No, they just say, "Whatever," right? Whatever. No, Russia's still colluded, right? Um, and bear in mind that the people who were most upset about Russian collusion were the people who voted for the guy who laughed in Mitt Romney's face when Mitt Romney, during a presidential debate, said that Russia was the greatest potential threat to the United States. Everybody thought that was a big joke. Barack Obama said that the 80s wanted their foreign policy back and that Russia's not a threat at all. And now we're on Russia high alert, right? It's this cognitive dissonance that Latour is talking about and that he sees as a great threat to now.
No, that's just not it, dude. That's not it.
Yeah, he's okay. He's right when he points out he is right. Something he is right about is when he points out previously how I don't know how true this is. I don't really care. It doesn't actually matter. Um, um, he is right when he talks about how when he's using the Obama example to contrast it. Well, like when Obama, the person they voted for, that's kind of a bit it, just simply because, but it's not really cognitive dissonance. Uh, it's kind of dissonance just isn't the right word. Like the way Latour talks about it is simply that you're a critic for the things you don't care about, and you're a positivist for the things you do care about. Then you're a third thing that I forget. What it is.
A perfectly healthy, sturdy realist for what you really cherish.
Yeah.
And of course, it might be criticism itself, but also painting, birdwatching, Shakespeare, baboons, proteins, and so on.
Yeah. It isn't cognitive dissonance. I don't. That just isn't. This isn't a thing. I guess that, like, I mean, I guess it technically can be part of it, but it just isn't a thing.
Yeah, I guess you could take the thing about the object is either not well, like the critical trick as being about cognitive dissonance.
But it isn't,
Yeah.
because it isn't because it doesn't contradict.
Like he's kind of going.
Not in the way he means, at least. Like there is a way in which there's no cognitive dissonance because the critic maintains the separation. Like that's an important part of it. Draws the boundary. This is the fetishes, and these are the facts. And he slams his fist on the table.
He's very enthusiastically going off script. Um, going. He's gone over a few things that were said and thinks, "Oh, I've got the idea," and then applies it. Applies what he understands so far to things he that shows he doesn't have an idea of what he's talking about.
To be fair, he's probably not going off script. Since this is for a class, he probably has some bullet points and some quotes up that he's going through.
Okay, but his bullet points are going off script.
Well, no. Well, no, they aren't. If they're in the bullet points, they're on script.
Okay, but Okay, there's such a thing as the script of letter, like the text of text. Okay, it's
yeah, going off the text. Okay, yeah, sure.
yeah. Okay, I was kind of goofy.
Yeah.
Hmm. Liberals thought Russia could be worked with for a while, and with the New START treaty, Putin got a lot more aggressive too. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of just looking at different positions across time, and he's calling that cognitive dissonance. When people's attitudes change over time, it's not really. I don't know how you could call that cognitive dissonance unless you flatten everything to a single moment.
Knowledge and understanding. And so, at a certain point, he states his thesis on 231, right? And he says, this is the center of the page. He says, "My argument is that a certain form of critical spirit, the one I've just been describing, the let's attack all facts and show how they're actually just bad ideological biases." He says, "My argument is that that form of critical spirit has sent us down the wrong path, encouraging us to fight the wrong enemies, and worst of all, to be considered as friends by the wrong sorts of allies because of a little mistake in the definition of the main target. The question was never to get away from facts, but closer to them. Not fighting empiricism, that's science, but on the contrary, renewing empiricism." Now, I do think, and to his credit, Latour acknowledges that this might be a little bit revisionist history on his part, because I think there's a pretty strong argument looking at his overall catalog of work that he was interested in getting us away from facts and fighting empiricism to some degree. But I'm not going to go down that road. He initiates, or he describes rather, how
Can you
the
pause?
critic is always.
I'm just gonna say no. No.
Yeah.
From lab life onward, he has been fundamentally invested in this sort of like project, just generally. Kind of fundamental to this. The real thing that he's saying he's changing is focusing too uncritically on matters of fact and instead shifting to matters of concern. That's really the shift he's talking about. But like even that took place earlier in his work too. But like he talks about it. It was like, well, it required accepting too uncritically what matters of fact were. But like, and he counts himself among that. And I think I kind of agree and I understand where he's coming from. But yeah.
Yeah, he was actually getting closer to the facts in his in laboratory life.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah. You can't deny that he took part in that. Like, you can't say that he did that. Lab life. I don't know, it's just so silly.
Perhaps the way Latour is talking about facts isn't satisfying to him.
Yeah.
That's what he's talking about.
Always right. Let me see if I can find that passage. Well, he talks about two positions: the fact position and the fairy position. the fact position and the fairy position. And he says that this is how he defines that cognitive dissonance that we have, where we can flip between these two positions. So he says that the fairy position, right, is the position, when, let's say, for example, somebody says, yeah, I'm so happy that Jesus Christ died for our sins, right? And then the critic comes in and points to that as the fairy position, says, what, you're talking about supernatural nonsense, right? What evidence is there, right, that this is true, right? This is all just fairies. It's social construction. These beliefs are just rhetorical inventions that through repetition have come to seem to be true, but you have no reason to believe any of this stuff, right? And so there's that debunking move, right? But then, right, when people do sort
Pause.
of make
No, he's confusing one thing for the other. He described the second position. He didn't describe the first one. The
Yeah.
first one would be the first one would actually be like in Factish Gods, where he talks about the person who's hearing voices, who's hearing the voice of God, would now realize that it's really actually from himself that all these things come from, that he actually holds all the power. That would be the first move. That wouldn't be what he said, because what he's saying is actually the second move. He's actually putting in it the second move, but he's about to talk about the second move. What he did was just the second move. He skipped over the first move. He started it, but didn't finish it. The first move is not just because you already said it. It's what did he say? It's like it's delusion. It's whatever he said. It doesn't really matter. But like he already did it. He already explained it causally, which is what the second move is about. He already like made the actor causally dominated. The first move is specifically about freeing the actor, just to chain him up again in the second move.
Wait, I don't quite remember the fairy position. He it seems he's making the fairy about more than it actually is.
It's that he's confusing the two positions.
Yeah.
The fairy position, um, is the person who believes that they hear. We'll just say they believe that they hear God's voice. God speaks to me. I hear the voice of God. I do all this. That would be the third position. That would be where the fairy position gets.
Yeah, so he's basically baking the 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 fact position, the perspective of the fact position into the fairy. He's already saying the fairy is fairy.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of the thing that I see. You have that like you have to immediately denounce the belief. You can't just simply talk about a belief as a belief. You have to immediately denounce it as being simply a belief, an irrational thing, right? Why can't we just say that the person thinks this or that without saying immediately it's just a social, an irrational thing? Shall I continue?
Yes.
the argument that that things well, hang on, let me get to the page, right? Ultimately, right? Then the fairy position makes an assertion of fact, right? The assertion of fact that the fairy position makes in the second move, right, is that in saying all the free will you think
No.
you have, right, all of your potential to know all of the things you know is actually determined by forces that are unseen, right? Whether that's the
No,
force
he
of
doesn't
discourse
understand the
itself, whether
second
it's the force of
move.
ideology.
No. No. Okay. Okay. Bring up the critical enunciation. Bring up the two moves again.
Yeah.
Bring up the two moves. Really simple. It's really simple. Once Estelle has it up, I'll tell her what to do, and it all makes sense. Okay. So, in the first move, what happens? You go from bottom right. The object does everything. The voice of God is speaking to you. You have, for instance, the voice of God. There's a voice of God. And the voice of God speaks to you, the subject, and you go from right to left. And you go from right to left in that. And then the critic says on top, the critic goes, well, actually, no, you do everything. You, the subject. And then you go to the right again, but on top this time. The voice of God that you're hearing is actually nothing other than your own voice. It's properly yours. Okay. And then when you get to the second denunciation, the fetishist starts out in the top left this time. The fetishist thinks, well, I'm a free person now. I can actually do this. The voice of God is actually my own voice. You go to the top right. And then the critical thinker says, well, actually, no. Sorry, hun. You're actually determined by psychology. You actually aren't in control. And you go from bottom right, bottom left. And that's the move. That's the move. That's the move. But this isn't the move. That isn't what he's saying. That isn't what he's saying. He's jumping. He's jumping.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that he's jumping the steps. He's not going through the steps. Like go up, go up. The Go up to the first enunciation. Sorry, I should clarify since the stream's lagging behind. No, that's not the first enunciation.
No? Wait.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the where it says the first movie.
I thought you were watching my... Oh, right.
No,
Because
I'm
it's...
not. I'm paying attention. I'm trying to pay attention to chat as well. But you see, it goes from right to left. Sorry, it goes from right to bottom to left to the top. You believe in the power of an idol. You're gonna want to scroll down. I can't read that. The people, they can't read that still. Okay, now I should go to you. Oh, and I can't see that.
Yeah, no, I can't see... Wait.
You believe in the power of an idol to make you do things, but in fact, it is only the power of your own ingenuity that merely projects to an indifferent matter your own power. And then we go to the second move. this would be really helpful if I didn't have to wait for this to catch up.
Yeah. Wait,
And then now you see, well, it actually starts on the top left now. Like I said, you believe in the free power of your own will to make you do things out of an indifferent matter. And then you go to the bottom right again. But in fact, you're unwillingly activated to do things. The necessary power of genes, interests, drives, etc. And goes in the reverse. Starts over again. That's the thing. And he's not doing that. He's not doing this. He's skipping the steps. He's skipping the steps.
Yeah.
He's already combining them. He's combining the two steps. But you don't combine the two steps when you're talking about it. Yes. It is about determinism and free will, fundamentally. And Latour's like, well, that's what the critical enunciation is. And Latour's like, well, actually, no, you don't actually need all this bullshit. Fuck you. Fuck you. I have a third thing. It's called the factish, baby.
All right. Let's go right ahead.
The force of tradition, the force of family, that in fact you think you have an independent will, but in fact, right, you're being acted on by unseen forces, so it's an illusion, your free will. And yet, Latour is saying that statement that I just made is itself a statement of fact, right? And so, right, like the problem is we never can get outside to judge the relative validity of these claims, and people switch between sort of scientific empiricism and hard fact, and between social constructivism, where everything's just the product of ideology, whenever it suits them, right? And so the critic's never wrong. And he says this in quite a memorable passage on 239. He says, "The critic's always right. When naive believers are clinging forcefully to their objects, claiming that they are made to do things because of their gods, their poetry, their cherished objects, the critic can turn all of those attachments into so many fetishes and humiliate all the believers by showing that it is nothing but their own projection. The critic, yes, the critic alone can see all these things. But as soon as the naive believers are thus inflated by some belief in their own importance, in their own projective capacity, that's when you hit them, the critic hits them, with a second uppercut and humiliates them again. This time by showing that whatever they think, their behavior is entirely determined by the action of powerful causalities coming from objective reality that you don't see. But that the critic, yes, you, the critic, the never sleeping critic alone, can see. Isn't this fabulous? Isn't it really worth going to graduate school to study critique? Enter here, you poor folks. After arduous years of reading turgid prose, you will always be right. And you will never be taken in anymore, right? No one, no matter how powerful, will be able to accuse you of naivete, that supreme sin, any longer. Better equipped than Zeus himself, the critic rules alone, striking from above with the salvo of anti-fetishism in one hand and the solid causality of objectivity in the other. The only loser is the naive believer, the great unwashed, always caught off balance. But later he says, the Zeus of critique rules absolutely, to be sure, but he rules over a desert, right? Which is to say, yeah, the critic by this cognitive dissonance is always going to be right, never going to be wrong, right? But when we just keep, resorting to facts to prove our beliefs when it's convenient, and then undermine the very idea of the fact when it's convenient, right? That's just denialism. It's kind of utopianism. It's in no place, nowhere, right? And so you rule over nothing. Now, what's his idea then? His
Um, uh, hmm. There's something wrong about the way he explained it. I feel it.
What do you say?
There's something wrong about the way he explains it. I feel. Um.
Which part? The part about
Uh.
Zeus?
The part.
Part of
Okay.
Utopia?
The part he when he talks about switching between like empiricism or uh social the about switching disciplines when it suits you.
Yeah.
Because it's not sure. He explains it as like doing it on the same person, but um, on the same subject or on the same actor. Um, but that's not really what's happening. It's that.
Yeah, because you can be a social constructivist and a positivist.
Yeah.
Like that isn't contradictory for Latour. The key thing for Latour is, as he explains it, I remember the three now: anti-fetishism, positivism, and realism. The key things are anti-fetishism and positivism, and also realism. Those are the three things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. August gets it right. Yeah. It's about fetishism and anti-fetish. Yeah, exactly. It is. That's literally what, because that's what the move is. Like it's more proper to say, like he even brought up. I think Latour says it himself. I think he read it, because it's in that paragraph that he was going through. Um, uh, you're an anti-fetishist for this, but not for that. Where is it? Um, um,
Um.
you can turn all those attachments into so many fetishes and humiliate all the believers by showing that this is nothing but their own projection. And then the second uppercut is, you humiliate them again by showing whatever they think their behavior is entirely determined by the action of powerful causalities coming from objective reality. Like that's the thing. It's about it's about anti-fetishism, and fetishism as August says, like that's a much better way to put it.
Yeah. It's about denouncing the thing that's being looked at as a fetish and uh and compare it with the facts. It's not really about saying that facts their facts aren't real. You have your own facts. No, it's about
Yeah.
saying that you have your fetishes and I have my facts.
Yeah. It's a thing in fact Gods that he points out, August, that the uh, what makes someone an anti-fetishist? Well, it's that he accuses someone else of being a fetishist. It's not about not having any fetishes. It's about the accusation itself.
Yeah, but he's taking it as well. Your facts aren't real. The facts aren't real, but facts are real. That's what
Yeah.
he makes it about. Like that's not the move.
Yeah.
That's happening.
Yeah, it's because it's not a. If you want to say it's about anything, it's about accusation. It's about the accusation. It's about a way of accusing somebody of something. Because someone who just doesn't believe in God or Jesus isn't an anti-fetishist.
Yeah.
Like you can just not believe in those things, and you aren't an anti-fetishist.
Again, he um. Hmm. Okay, I always think
He's close at some point.
yeah.
He is, but he gets it like wrong, and I think he gets it. I think he gets it just wrong because of the place that he's coming at it from. And I think it's kind of yeah, yeah. There's some weird thing he has that I don't quite understand. He's a professor, or at least he was. He was like a professor of rhetoric or something. He was or is a professor of like rhetoric or something.
Hmm. Shall I continue?
Yes.
Oh, August. I I I don't know if he thinks Lator. At least he places Lator into the whole postmodernism thing. Um, and that's what he's mainly reproaching to Lator here. He's basically saying, "Oh, Lator, you're part of those elites. You shouldn't be criticizing them like that, or you're being hypocritical in a way." I'm spitballing here.
His idea is, and this is in the title, that we move from matters of fact to matters of concern, right? That this is the new critical direction that we need to chart. And he makes a distinction between objects and things, right? And an example that he gives that nicely dramatizes the difference here is between a handmade jug, right, and a Coke can, right? And the handmade jug is the thing. And he talks about the etymology, the history of the word thing, which literally means a gathering, right? And so, like certain things, we recognize as the product of a gathering of forces, a certain gathering of forces. So, for example, the homemade jug,
And I
the
just hold on. Can you
handmade jug.
pause?
Yeah,
This isn't Latour's example.
yeah, it's
This is
Heidegger's, right?
Heidegger's. Yeah, it's Heidegger's. Yeah. That's where the example comes from. Latour's he's critiquing Heidegger in this. This is a critique of Heidegger because Latour thinks that that Heidegger treats the treats the treats the Coke can unfairly.
Hmm. He
Like you can't not know it if you've read the text because Latour explicitly brings up that it's from Heidegger.
it's like he starts at this. He reads the start of a paragraph, doesn't read further on, and it just writes notes on it and forgets about the rest.
Yeah.
He writes notes, he reads the rest, but he forgets to revise his notes. I don't know how that can happen. He jumps the gun.
Right, is an example of this particular gathering of these forces, and as such, it takes on the hallowed status of the thing, a thing that is unique and that can't be reproduced. The interaction of various forces in one place and in one time, right? Whereas in contrast, the Coke can, right, is a refinement
Can you pause?
of
Mm-hmm.
I want to say um wait, is there another one? No. Needless to say, although he developed this etymology at length, thing versus Gegenstand, or object, as we would say in English, this is not the path that Heidegger has taken. On the contrary, all of his writing aims to make as sharp a distinction as possible between, on the one hand, objects, Gegenstand, and on the other, the celebrated thing. The handmade jug can be a thing, while the industrial-made Coke can remains the object. For the latter is abandoned to the empty mastery of science and technology, only the former, cradled in the respectful idiom of art, craftsmanship, and poetry, could deploy and gather its rich shed of connections. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Wait. Heidegger is the he was in the Nazi party, right?
Yeah. Same.
Wait. Yeah.
I didn't even. Sorry. I was like not even thinking. That's not true. I was not.
Wait. Maybe I'm thinking about Schmidt, but when I said that, but wait.
He was.
Okay, he was in the Nazi party. Yeah.
I think if I remember correctly, he gave up. If I remember correctly, he gave up Husserl to the Nazis.
Really?
I'm pretty sure that's real. I remember someone talking to me about that, and they seem pretty trustworthy. But I might be spreading misinformation.
Hmm. Yeah. Uh, he does. This guy doesn't know that. He has not read the rest of the paragraph. Okay, he doesn't know that it's from Heidegger. Wait, no.
Okay. Sorry. The
The first
example
sentence.
might be from Latour, but the etymology talking about that is from Heidegger, which is important
Yeah,
to
yeah.
just like bring up.
He
It's actually unclear. It's actually unclear if the example is from Heidegger or not. It might be from Latour.
yeah.
Um,
But he's describing, or he's trying to describe Heidegger. Yeah.
yeah. Yes.
That's yeah. I don't know how. It's not even about not reading the paragraph. Like Latour is quite explicitly talking about Heidegger's conception.
Yeah.
Like, nah. Oh. I don't know. Maybe he didn't pay attention and just took that as this is something that Latour takes on uncritically.
Okay, yeah, that's what he did. Yeah. I forget. This was like a while ago. I don't know anything about this. So yeah.
Hmm.
All right. Also, we should probably continue before it hits your bedtime.
Yeah. No. I,
um, I guess we could say a regimentation of those forces, right? That the force of producing a thing like a jug, a thing like a container, has become so efficient and streamlined that we can produce them identically and infinitely, right? And nobody looks at a Coke can and says, wow, what a beautiful creation, right? It's just a can, right? And so I think what he's showing is that in other words, the Coke can's an object in contrast to the hollowed status of the jug being the thing. And I think that what he's saying is we need to find a way to elevate the thing again, to learn to respect the thing and to stop treating things like objects and of little significance that we can sort of attack without consequence.
No.
that's literally the opposite.
Yeah. The Coke can. Okay. Latour literally talks about the transformation of an object into a thing and a thing into an object because it's what it's specifically dealing with is the difference between matters of fact and matters of concern. What happens when you have a matters of fact? Well, when you have a matter of fact, um, uh, it is treated as something banal, as something kind of just there, as just kind of a thing that simply exists. Basically, it's nothing special, nothing special really. There's no beauty to it really. There's nothing that's complex that really goes into it. It's just simple. It's an object. The Torah wants to do away with that kind of way of talking about things generally, because, like, Latour would argue that the Coke can is just as tangled as the jug. It's not about that. It's about I don't. It's like it's really weird. It's not about not treating things like objects. It's about fitting everything in a matter of concern way. Yeah, exactly. August was beautiful. Matters of fact are flat, concretized social relations. Matter of concern are active processes of social relations. Bring about to the table. Yeah. It's why he gives the two examples, which is the beginning of one of the wars and the Columbia explosion. Both of these are an example of a matter of fact turning into a matter of concern, the Columbia explosion, and then a matter of concern slowly being transformed into a matter of fact. Yeah, I'm done. If you I don't know if you want to say it, so if you want to continue.
All right.
Now, this passage, when he talks about these distinctions, brings to mind a passage from Nietzsche's On Truth and Lies in a Non-Moral Sense, which we talked about a couple weeks ago, and I'll read it. This is on page 1176 in Bazel, if you're following along. He says, this is Nietzsche now. He says, only by forgetting this primitive world of metaphor can one live with any repose, security, and consistency. Only by means of the petrification and coagulation of a mass of images which originally streamed from the primal faculty of human imagination like a fiery liquid, only in the invincible faith that this sun, this window, this table is a truth in itself. In short, only by forgetting that he himself is an artistically creating subject does man live with any repose, security, and consistency. And so, what Nietzsche is drawing the difference between is sort of a world of potentiality, right? Where, there's still the capacity for the unknown, the unexpected, the imminent.
The channel is Dr. Elwanger. Wait. I asked you, Envy, if we could go over on truth and lies in a non-moral sense. Wait, there's an I? No, I think it's two L's. Yeah. But wait, I have to ask August. August, you've read On Truth and Lies in a Non-Moral Sense, right?
Oh, it is El Vanga, not Io Vanga. That's what I thought it was. I thought there's an I, but
Well,
really there was no I.
sometimes there's an I hidden in the L, but not this time. But
gathering of forces that embody kind of a new thing, versus the conceptual orientation of science, right? Or just rationality generally, that thinks that everything is settled, we know truth, right? And the product of that belief system is the Coke can, right? It's coagulated and cooled. It's not a unique thing anymore. It's not an objective concern. It's a matter of fact. The Coke can is a fact. It's cooled off. We know what it is. We know what it does. We know how it's made. We know where it comes from. We've seen it before and we'll see it again, right? And for those reasons, you know, the object or the matter of fact we come to treat rather callously because we assume its stability. We assume its durability. And I think that what Latour is pointing us back to, right, is that idea, what we've proven over the past 50 years, is that facts are not as durable as we thought they were, right? And rather than use that as an excuse to kick around and undermine and attack even more facts, right? Maybe we need to move away from that plan and reimagine critique as something like an ethic of care, right? A thing that considers
I
facts
say something?
anew as matters of concern.
It's crazy how he gets it wrong and then he gets it right.
Yeah.
He explained it wrong, but now he's explaining it he's explaining it right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, totally. That's totally what it is. Yeah, it's like crazy.
Yeah, I was really waiting for the other shoe to drop, but he's like, but he's like about the objectness of the Coke can being just. I think we have to go. Well, just me, like I just accepting the object the Coke of the the can of Coke as being something not worthy of concern, but he actually doesn't. He points out what Latour is saying, which
Yeah, and then he gets it right, and it's like kind of funny.
yeah, because it's kind of confused saying that like Heidegger's thing versus object distinction is somehow Latour's, but but uh but then coming back and saying, well, it shouldn't be about this, it should be about concern. Yeah. It's funny. Oh, I guess we could go over it later, maybe on the QC if you want. Or you can go it over yourself. Yeah. Well, okay, I'm not the one to give you all anything. Okay, but, but I would really appreciate it if we could go over it later.
Yeah, I'd love to go over it with you, August. I was supposed to go over it with Estelle, but then Estelle's never asked me yet.
Well, because I'm not consistent, you know?
Because Estelle has depression. Estelle's
Oh,
big sad.
hmm. I'm like,
But it's okay. The critical thinker will wake you out of this.
yeah. Well, like, I'm like, we can do this sometime, and then I'm thinking, the less I bring it up, the more likely she is to accept. That's literally my thinking. I know exactly where it comes from, but I'll tell you that later. All right, let's look at. There's only a few minutes.
concern, the unknown, something that requires thought, something that requires care, right? So that we can begin to build back up a social order in which knowledge is possible, and in which human liberty and dignity is honored, I think. But this would require a departure from sort of critique as an ideological kind of warfare, right? What it would require is a return to understanding criticism as an activity aimed at learning, right? Learning about a thing, coming to know a thing, rather than deconstructing a thing, as Derrida and his progenitors would have us do, right? To show the internal contradictions of everything and therefore to break it apart. And so ultimately, that's what Latour is after here, is trying to imagine a reorientation of the last 50 years in particular of criticism, right? Of being a project of breaking things down, deconstructing things, undermining things, reducing the public faith and tradition in fact and these things. And how could we reinvent criticism?
Wait, why is he always bringing back tradition in it?
Yeah. Yeah. Also, by the way, I hate to break it to this guy, but you haven't read Derrida, or you haven't read him well.
But have
Like,
you read
if you
Derrida?
can't read this like Latour paper like really easily. Yeah.
We're learning that in real time, August.
Yeah.
He seems to care in a strange way about a lot of things. Can see his investment in real time. His investments. But
as a tool for building up, as a tool for enabling faith, enabling a shared understanding of the world, and indeed enabling people's beliefs to be honored and respected in such a way that doesn't tear down the thing that doesn't conform to our own ideological preferences or vision for the world. So to return to the opening question, right? This question of, is it possible to persuade anyone anymore when everybody is so damn skeptical, right?
Okay, I don't mean to be rude, but Latour's not just like a free-loving hippie. Hey, man, everyone gets their own beliefs, man. Not that. Latour just doesn't want to treat people as simply like naive individuals who don't understand things. Like, that's kind of it. He's still very willing to say people are wrong. He's very still willing to go like to say people are wrong. And it's like it's not just about, well, we have to respect everyone's beliefs. No. 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 It's about doing away with exoticism. Like, fundamentally, it's about doing with exoticism. Because Latour is an anthropologist and a sociologist. And his sociology is heavily informed by anthropology. And the thing he's critiquing in every single one of these things is exoticism.
yeah, and he talks about bringing back, building back faith. It's a very weird way to me to describe what Latour is doing here.
Yeah. He's right when he talks about it as bringing back together what's common, and stuff like that. That's a more correct way to talk about it. When you start talking about the common and like giving people spaces and voices, like Latour's willing to say people are wrong, but he's not willing to just not give people due process. Because what's also fundamental to Latour is democracy, like a very radical kind of like democracy.
Yeah. And this one tree, this is not something that would really happen by just going back to tradition. To go back.
Yeah, no.
He skips over a lot of. Uh, the last thing he talked about was on page 9, I think. Well, I'd say like page 17. It doesn't talk much about the rest of the paper. Has Hartog run out the smoke? Let's see. You're being oddly silent. Hmm.
Well, I mean, Latour's answer seems to be, yeah, right. It's still possible, but it will take a reorientation in the way that we understand the work of rhetorical theory, of how rhetoric should be used, about the relationship between rhetoric and ethics, the relationship between rhetoric and critique. Um, and while I think that it seems like we're in a pretty dire strait as a society right now as far as rhetoric is concerned, that is, nobody's ever convinced of anything anymore, right? And if the aim of rhetoric is convincing people, well, the task of rhetoric just got a lot harder. And Latour seems to point us to that, and he doesn't talk a lot about rhetoric explicitly, but his text here has implications for the study of rhetoric. And his insight seems to be that if we're going to get back to a place where persuasion is possible, where shared ideas are possible.
That wasn't me, by the way. It's in the video. I would never be caught using Windows.
Then we need to change our attitude about what we can expect from criticism. I've enjoyed studying with you this semester. Have a great day.
Ah.
Ah, you thought you were free, but I'm here to put you back in your place.
Yeah.
I'm here to teach you what's what. You're actually not free. 3 more hours.
3 more hours.
Yeah.
Of what? On Bruno Latour on not showing the dots from the Radcliffe Institute.
Yeah, something like that. All right. Well, good night, everyone. I love you.
Well,
It's been a good stream.
We have to conclude a bit the whole video, no?
Do I have to do I have to do that? Is that what
Well,
I have to do?
okay, on the note
Whose stream do you think this is?
well, on the note of 10, how would you evaluate this video on its ability to entertain cats?
On a scale of Alan Sokol to me, this person did about a win.
Yeah, okay. Not many people will get that. Alright. Well,
Well, you
Hey.
get it, and isn't that what matters the most?
It is, it is. Perhaps. Well, thank you. Uh, and thank you, everyone. We love you. Mm,
No, I love you. Don't listen to her.
I love you all too. Despite what my esteemed companion here says.
That's what your roommate says.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it.
Post it in my server, August, and I will when I have the time. I still have to finish a Gomar's paper, but clearly, I'm so glad that I decided to only do one of them because I was like, "Ah, this won't take too long. This will be like an hour, like 2 hours."
Hmm.
Like either send it to me in DMs or send it. Okay, it's almost been 3 hours. Send it to me in DMs or send it to me um, in my server. And either way,
Yeah. And just before everyone leaves, we're starting a new channel. This is Envy's channel. I've been helping her uh with the hardware because she doesn't have access to streaming hardware right now. Um,
yeah,
and we have another channel that it will be more uh focused on,
cooperative.
yeah, cooperative. Uh, this this stream tonight was supposed to be on that channel, but I chickened out because I hadn't set up much at all in the channel.
She's Pepper and I'm Budge, is what she's saying.
You're what? I'm what and you're
Y-
what?
You're you're Pepper and I'm Budge.
Hmm. Wait, is that a...
Oh my fucking god, you
It's...
you don't
I,
fucking get it.
I don't
Oh my
get it.
fucking god, we just watched it last night.
Wait, you watch it in Fargo?
That's the name of Key and Peele, the characters.
Oh,
Pepper and Budge.
sorry, I don't remember names. It took me a while to remember Lester's name.
That's because of still you're Anglophobic.
That's right. Hmm. But then they died, unfortunately. Well, spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler, Technoblade died.
Oh no. Well, this is this stream was supposed to be on the new channel, which is called the Ant Girls.
It's at the Ant Girls, and it's just one word.
Oh yeah. Wait, I have to link it.
And we have the at, and it's ours. But somebody didn't set it up, even though we've had the channel for hashtag over a month now.
Yeah, I'm just...
Somebody with the hardware.
Oh, well, okay. Big Cherry, if they want to send themselves there, it's alright. But it's also a tremendous waste of resources, I think. We are... there's a lot of better things to do with that. Hmm.
Also, August, which Harmon lecture? By the way, is it the one on since Estelle stalling? Which one is it?
Okay, I'll put the link into chat. Oh, that's under your account. It's not much now. I haven't done anything on it yet, but trust me, it will come. Okay. Subscribe if you want, but first off, subscribe to NB's channel, this channel.
Yeah. Also, I have a Discord. Join my Discord.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. I guess. Well, tell me what the Graham Harmon thing is. It the one where he talks about lava? No, that's what Nix calls it. He doesn't call it lava. This is the one where he's talking about plasma. Is that it? Talking about that one.
Oh yeah, it's
Sounds really short.
the oh guy. I remember now.
Yeah, I don't like Harmon.
All right. Well, uh, well, okay. If I guess you can link it in. You can link it in the server. If you wait, are you even in our server? You're not.
Yeah, I was just.
Oh yeah, you are. All right. Well, on that note, thank you everyone for watching. Take care of yourselves. I love you all
Good
very much.
night.
Bye.